Good morning. Well, it's good to be back from my vacation in Poland and again to worship with you here at St. Patrick's. Now, this is a true story, every bit of it. Years ago, I spent a week at the Eastern Point Jesuit retreat house in Gloucester, Massachusetts. It is a beautiful place. The house sits right on the seashore, made of huge, humongous rocks. One day, I decided to go out and just sit on one of those huge rocks and look at the magnificent waves as they were crashing against the rocks with the huge splashes of water. And out of the blue, a huge wave, larger than other waves, was being formed. And I could see it. And it was coming closer and closer to the seashore and to the place where I was sitting and just enjoying myself. It became very clear to me that this particular wave was going to reach me. So I got up and started running away, which is not easy on a huge, uneven, slippery rock. The wave came faster than I expected, and it outpaced me. It came over me and knocked me down to the ground. It knocked me down to the ground so hard that my pants were torn at my knees. My knees were bleeding. The palms of my hands were bleeding. I was a little bit shaken, you could say. It came crashing at me so hard that I never expected it. So much water over me. I was soaked. I was wet. I was, again, a little bit shaken, even though I was far enough from the sea itself that I knew that I was not in any serious danger. At that moment, for the first time in my life, I realized how powerful waves can be and how dangerous. I learned that waves do not wave at you, they hit you, and they hit you hard. I began to slowly walk back to the retreat house, somewhat embarrassed as folks looked at me, concerned on one hand, but a little bit amused on the other hand when they just looked at this poor, soaked guy. Now that wave was powerful. And at that very moment it hit me, I have to say, I felt helpless. I was, again, a little bit scared at the moment. Now, You could say it was my St. Peter moment. In today's gospel, we see the disciples of Jesus in the boat. Suddenly, out of the blue and without warning, a storm comes, and the boat is being tossed about by huge waves. The situation becomes increasingly more and more dangerous. Peter sees Jesus walking on the water, and initially he thinks it is a ghost. And who can blame him? People do not walk on water usually, especially in the middle of storms and amidst huge waves. That's not the hike you usually take on Sunday afternoon. But Jesus speaks to them and reassures them that it is him and that there is nothing to be afraid of. Peter jumps into the water and begins to do what Jesus is doing. Peter is walking on the water. We often think that Jesus was the only one walking on the water. No, Peter was walking on the water as well, but not for too long. Once he realizes how strong the wind is, he gets really frightened and begins to sink. He screams in desperation, "Lord, save me." Jesus reaches out to him. He stretches his arm and he saves him, as if to tell all the other disciples and all of us that in moments like this, when there is storms and huge waves, I am here for you. I am here for you in moments like this. We all have St. Peter moments in our lives, don't we? Moments of fear, moments of desperation, moments of doubts, sadness, moments when the waves are sometimes too big. The wind happens to be too strong. Now, Pope Francis, when he was reflecting on this gospel, reminds us that in moments like this, fear and doubt are understandable. They are rational. Of course, we fear and we doubt in moments like this. In moments like this, we are like Peter. Our faith and our trust becomes little. Our faith can become weak in moments like this. And we should not be surprised. Our faith in times of storms, in the middle of waves, will and can become weak and little. And it is true for everyone. But as my late scripture professor, a wonderful Jesuit priest, Father Dan Harrington, used to say, little faith is better than no faith. Little faith is better than no faith. Little faith, later on, we will find out in the gospel, can move mountains, can be very powerful. This notion of little faith really caught my attention this weekend as I looked at the gospel. In life, there are storms, strong winds, huge waves that can knock you down to the ground. They come often uninvited and without warning, like that wave years ago that knocked me down to the ground in Gloucester, Massachusetts. I will never forget that. Today's gospel reminds us that in moments like this, our faith will become little. We should not be surprised. It does not mean that little faith is any less powerful. It can be very powerful. It simply means that little faith is little at that moment, but it can still move mountains. Little faith can be enough. To me, that is a lesson worth remembering. But even more importantly, when we find ourselves having St. Peter moments, when those storms and waves arrive, when you think that, and it feels like at that moment Jesus is kind of too far away, Jesus reminds us, and his words are still the same as they were when he spoke to the disciples in that boat. He reminds us about this. I am here. I am here for you. I can see you. Hold on to me.
Hold on to me when it's too dark to see. When I am sure I have reached the end. Hold on to me when I forget I need you. When I let go, hold me again. I can rest here